Now, a second kind of resistance here that Skinner also emphasizes is that education is difficult. There's no question about that. Human beings are complicated animal. And so one kind of get out of jail free card that often feeds into the teacher's interest is a desire not to be held fully accountable for the results of education. And so the idea that in some sense humans have this biological nature that is going to out no matter what we do, or that students are coming into the school system already preconditioned by their parents or by the neighborhoods that they've grown up in, or that students have their own choices and minds of their own, and so that leads them rather to not be amenable. You know, we can't control students and override the free choices that they are making, and so we're off the hook, right? As teachers, we're not responsible for the end result of the educational process. I have a quotation here from B.F. Skinner's Beyond Freedom and Dignity, where he has no truck with quotation or with that sort of attitude. Quote, an important advantage, right, to the non-behaviorist approach, Skinner is saying, an important advantage is that the practitioner avoids responsibility, just as it is not the midwife's fault if the baby is stillborn or deformed, so the teacher is exonerated when the teacher failures. And the behaviorist response, that's the end of the quotation there, is we're like a dog trainer. We can, of course, say that dogs have a certain biological nature, but if we are expert dog trainers, we should be able to control the conditions to recondition the dog to whatever it is that we want to be so. There are no bad dogs, right, so to speak, as one famous dog trainer puts it. If we don't think we're up to the task of taking dogs, unformed puppy dogs or dogs that have already been perhaps mistrained, and reconditioning them into the right kind of dogs, well, then we shouldn't set ourselves up as dog trainers. And the same thing then holds for human trainers. If we do not think that we as teachers are up to the task of taking 5-year-olds into the school system and training them into what we want them to be as adults, if we say, oh, well, they're already corrupted or conditioned by their parents, or there are too many other environmental stimuli that they're exposed to outside of the school, if we think that's too hard a job for us as educators, as teachers, well, then we should not set ourselves up as teachers. We should go into another line of work that is simpler. Only individuals who think they are up to the task, only those individuals who are committed to the task of taking the best results of behavioral science and crafting an engineering system, a conditioning system within the school system to get the desired results. However imperfectly behavioral science is, or how much ever imperfect progress we have made so far, if nonetheless we're not committed to that project, if we're always going to be falling back on excuses is not acceptable. We should, if we're not committed, then we should find some other line of work. It's ultimately like the coach of a soccer team, for example. We hold the coaches of soccer teams accountable just as we hold dog trainers accountable, right, and so forth. A coach can come in, and certainly coaching any sort of a team, and a soccer team is a difficult project. And if consistently a coach over the course of a whole season or 2 seasons or 3 seasons is only getting middling results, or the soccer team is consistently losing, then we say, look, this coach is just not up to the task. It's time for that coach to move on, perhaps to go into another line of work. It's time to bring in a coach with a better set of conditioning techniques for the soccer team. Only those coaches that show themselves as being able to take the raw material of the players to come in, to condition them in certain ways, to train them to behave in certain ways together on the field, and to successfully to get the desired results. Those are the coaches we want to consistently to be our soccer coaches. And so the same standard should hold when we're talking more significantly about something that is more important to most parents and should be more important than simply a sporting team, that is to say, a child's life. If we have teachers in place who are consistently not generating students who are conditioned in the right behaviors, or they're only achieving middling results, then either of those teachers have to go, or the administrators who are in charge of the institutional structure, they have to go, and we need to bring in a new crop of teachers and a new crop of administrators who can achieve the desired results here. So to put a little more positive spin on this and not to be talking too much about firing people, our goal, the one that we should be embracing, is to exert effective control. Students are going to be controlled. They are going to be conditioned. We're interested in, as behaviorists, in effective conditioning. The fears that we have about being too controlling are either born of a false view of human nature, where we believe in inner children and motivation and so forth. Those false views of human nature have to be set aside, or they're based on laziness. We just don't want to be held accountable to the highest standards. Both of those need to be set aside so that we can get down to the business of properly engineering the human beings to behave in the ways that we know they can and ought to be conditioned.